Hey, so today in Pussy Church, we are going to be spring cleaning on the topic of the inner masculine or your inner masculine. And I'm also going to do another spring clean on another video on the inner feminine. And then that way, if ever you notice like one of your polarities is giving you a bit of pushback, you can go ahead and go into the spring cleaning container and see what is coming up for you. Um, I've been working a lot with the inner masculine these last several weeks, especially in my marriage, partnership, sacred union, and I'm not crying. I swear. I just did eye drops on my eyes, and it looks like I'm crying. I find that in spring cleaning and swamping and journaling on my inner masculine, and then creating time where I put self love into my inner masculine, I find that it's easier to shed my toxic masculinity and it's easier to be more balanced with my feminine and masculine polarities. And it's easier to recognize when toxic masculinity does come up within me or within my partner and handle it in a way that is responsive and from the heart versus like reactive and explosive and not aligned with the heart. It's like the shadow. And so, anyways, for those of y'all that are familiar with the polarities, this is just a refresher. For those that are new or kind of just exploring what it is to go into your masculine or feminine energies. Um, man, my throat chakra. Um, the masculine polarity, we all know very well because we're all on some level indoctrinated into a patriarchal society. And patriarchy is definitely like masculine energies. And patriarchy is definitely toxic masculinity as well. So, anyways, with the masculine, we all have a masculine and a feminine energy within us. And so the masculine is more like structure, whereas the feminine is more like flow. The masculine, when in a space of healthiness, is going to be like structured and balanced and disciplined and like intentional with their focus and their time and their energy. Um, and then the feminine is going to be where like that sensual, creative, flowing, trusting being energy is. However, as women, when displaying hyper masculinity, it might come off as like always chasing the next thing to do on the to-do list, getting overly angry about something, like blowing things out of proportion because you have so much like anger and resentment building up in you because you haven't really gotten to express that. Um, or like not being able to empathize with your husband or your partner or your children or like your friends or your family because the feminine is where the feeling and the emotions really are, which is like the flow. And the masculine, it's so complex. So the masculine, you have like the man box that men get put in where they're not allowed to tap into their feminine energies and flow and feel. And so many women, even though we're women in body, we still get put in that man box of like, it's not good to show your feelings because back in the day, it would be labeled as hysteria and you'd go to like a mental asylum. And so, like, your cells, your epigenetics remember this. And so, some women that are hyper masculine, um, don't go into the emotions and they also are in that man box, right? So then they can't empathize with somebody that is feeling their feelings because the woman hasn't made it to that space within herself. Or like being hyper masculine, you just might have a lot of resentment towards like coworkers or like things that have to do with work. And it's just because emotions are getting stuck. And a lot of women, especially in this day and age, they're overworked, which that is a sign of like an imbalance in the masculine energies is being overworked and not being able to find time for your feminine or connect with your feminine or connect with the feminines of others. And they can be overworked, they can be overly perfectionistic, they can be very rigid and controlling. These are all like just traits of like hypermasculinity within a woman or someone that identifies as being a woman. Um, There could be like that shaming, self-righteousness. That would be like toxic hypermasculinity. So anyways, it's really important to be able to spring clean on the inner masculine. So that way, when in your masculine mode, you're functioning from a place of like the healthy embodiment of divine masculine energy, which would be like knowing when to say no, knowing when to say yes, knowing how to be intentional with your time, giving yourself healthy boundaries as you do things, having a healthy schedule, but understanding sometimes things happen that are outside of your control, and it's okay to like let go and let loose a little bit and go with the flow and let the feminine kind of guide and autocorrect and then go back into a new structure after you've adapted. So yeah, anyways, hopefully this spring clean can help you kind of figure out some of that within you. And then with spring cleaning, a couple of housekeeping things. Spring cleaning is a safe space for you to actualize and acknowledge what you have going on inside of you. This isn't really a place to like beat around the bush, although you can beat around the bush because sometimes that might be what you need to experience a shift. But just go into what feelings you have or what thoughts you have that come up as you're spring cleaning. And sometimes for people that are hyper masculine, it's really hard to connect with the feelings, right? Like they don't have the labels or context to understand what feeling they're feeling. So a way to do this in a spring clean, you could connect with the body sensations you're feeling. So you could be like, I have an ache in the back of my neck. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have pain in my tailbone. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I feel like clenching my jaw. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? That could be your way into kind of labeling and safely moving things out of your body, because even if these bodily sensations don't have an emotion tied to them that you've like labeled, the body still understands what emotionally is there, and the body has a lot of wisdom and organizing intelligence behind it, and it can just go ahead and move out what it needs to move out from the mental and emotional bodies. And let's see, this is the place to like dump all your stuff. Like the person holding space, in this case it'll be me, or if you do it by yourself, it's going to be like your higher power holding space for you, or if you do it with another friend, it's going to be your friend or family member doing it with you. So just say everything that you've basically been taught that it's not okay to say. So like if you have hatred about something, be like, I hate blank. If you have resentment about something, I resent when this happens because it makes me feel blank. If you have like disgust about something, I feel disgusted when I see blank. If you have judgment, like I have the tendency to judge people that behave in this way. Like whatever it is, just get it out, because the point of spring cleaning also is it cleans out your mental and emotional bodies. So that way, as you clean and actualize, it acts like your throat chakra acts like a vacuum with the higher power or someone witnessing you, sucking out the emotions, the energies, the densities of these unspoken beings. So it sucks it out and moves it out, which then makes way for your manifestations and desires to come to you with more ease. Because now there's not all this clutter of all this unsaid, unfelt, unprocessed stuff. Now the clutter is being vacuumed out and moved along, which then magnetizes your desires to you. Just like really when you're spring cleaning, whenever you are taking trash out, if you're spring cleaning with a person, it's important that you both have the understanding that spring cleans are confidential, and so nothing's going to be like brought up at a later point in time. Like whatever you say, like they are the dump truck and it's their duty to take it away. And make sure if you're spring cleaning and it's a topic you know might be triggering for another person, that you guys have a good working relationship, to where they don't internalize and take things personal. My husband and I spring clean a lot together, and we've gotten to the point where we just understand the spring clean is a container to get shit out, so that way we can live our best life. And so sometimes we'll spring clean on surrender, which is like one of our favorites because that's how you like magnetize a lot of stuff. We'll spring clean on surrender, and sometimes in the surrender spring cleans, like I'll be like, oh, I hate when my husband gives me pushback on blah da da da, and he'll be the one witnessing me, but because he understands that it's like a spring clean container, he doesn't bring it up later, and he'll be like, I hate when my wife blah blah, and it's not like a pissing contest between us. It's more like we're just witnessing each other and being big kids and like holding space for the other to get stuff out, because we are paving the way for the next of kin by removing stuff from our energy fields as we spring clean together and as we said, like ancestral patterns around like scarcity and limited ways of being and behaving and relating in the world. So let's see, and I don't know why that came to me, but maybe someone that's gonna watch is gonna be like, "Hey, I should spring clean with my coworker," and then the coworker is like, "Oh, I feel so attacked," because they're not in the space to really be objective and not take things personal, which is fine. Like if they're not, but you just have to have that awareness, right, and that discernment. Spring cleans are not supposed to go longer than 15 minutes because if so, then you kind of get caught up in like a thought cycle, which then justifies the whole point of spring cleaning because then you're ruminating on things and drawing that back in. And so I find that a really sweet spot for spring cleans tends to be about 3 minutes to 7 minutes. And then when you go to the spring clean, it's like you're hitting on the emotional charge and energetic charge of like a negative and positive charge on a battery. So sometimes you might find one spring clean's completely like, I hate this, fuck that, this is disgusting, blah da da da. And then you might find another spring clean you start with like, it brings me joy and I love when this happens. And then after you get through like the feel goods, then there's that stuff on the other side of the polarity, and that's fine too. Sometimes people just have certain words come to their mind. So like inner masculine, thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Toxic masculinity. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Bully. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Aggression. Thank you. Like that's fine too. That's still documenting out something. Sometimes your mind might not be used to being engaged with this way. And so you might find that the person will be like, thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? And you're like, I have nothing. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have nothing. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have distrust. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? And as you do that, you notice like as you get through the first couple layers of I have nothing and just actualizing like, hey, I'm drawing a blank. Then the next layer reveals itself because it feels safe to reveal itself. If you find that you're still getting stuck though, maybe ask yourself, like, for example, with the I have distrust and you find you're drawing blanks, be like, well, why do I have distrust? And then as you like ask your subconscious that, your subconscious will automatically be like, oh yeah, this is why. And then you usually are able to continue forward in your spring clean. When you're spring cleaning, you don't want to go into a huge story. You want to break your story into bite-sized pieces that are easy to follow along. Spring cleans are kind of like a psychic surgery in a sense because like when you think of like a surgeon when they go in to do surgery, they do really fine and precise cuts and then they insert their instruments and their cameras and their like incision type stuff. I don't know, I'm not a surgeon, but I've had surgery. But they go in there and they're very precise in how they do stuff. They don't just go in and gouge a whole chunk out of you, or it's just kind of like that game operation. Like you go in really carefully, right? So when you're spring cleaning, if like a story comes to you, you'll break it down. So for example, this is the wrong way to do it. So thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I remember when I was working at the halfway house and I was surrounded by like all these toxic men and they had no respect for women, and then my coworkers were so lazy, and then my boss never had my back, and like that's a huge run on. That's way too much, right? So the proper way would be to be like, thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I remember when I used to work at a halfway house and there was a lot of toxic masculinity there. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? And women were not respected there, which made me feel unsafe. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? And my coworkers like put a lot of work on me because they were lazy, but I didn't feel safe to speak up. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? And then so in that way you make it bite-sized and digestible, and it does a lot more work in the psyche when you do it like that. And then after the clean, it's going to close with a trinity. A trinity is a brag, a gratitude, and a desire. And so Mama Gena, who teaches about spring cleaning, this is where I learned spring cleaning is through her pussy boot camp. She teaches women are taught to relate through victimization instead of celebration. So the whole point of the trinity, even if it makes you uncomfortable, like it's just the patriarchal parts of you that are uncomfortable. You brag, you celebrate. So you'd be like, I brag, which is like you like sticking it to the patriarchy, like I'm a woman and I'm bragging. I got shit to celebrate. So you brag on some things that you are celebrating, or you could say I celebrate if it's too uncomfortable for you to say I brag, but definitely hold space to celebrate. And then you'll say I am grateful for, and it could be a big gratitude, it could be a little gratitude, it could be a bunch of them, it could be a few of them. And then you'll do I desire, and your desire, maybe you have some things you've been wanting to call in for a while and you're really specific on your desire. That's great. Maybe you have no idea what you really desire. Just put a desire there and then tweak it as it goes along. Um, and then during a spring clean, if a person is spring cleaning with you, it's usually best that the person that's holding space and following the script has a poker face for the most part, because sometimes like people will subconsciously attune to a person's facial expressions and then interpret whether that person is a safe space or not for them. So maybe a person might give a reassuring smile or like think they're empathizing with like a sound like ah or ah. The person that is cleaning might be like, oh my gosh, my safety's compromised. Like I think they're smirking at me, and maybe that was condescending to like their mind, right? So you want to just have a poker face. If you know the person really well, and you will have done several cleans and kind of established like a repertoire with each other, then I think it's okay every now and then to like offer reassurance if you again know the person really well. And then what else? And then you'll also have these things called pulls, which pulls happen when the timer goes off, and they just basically symbolize to the mind like, okay, this is your last chance to get everything out. So like you can be like, I want to spring clean for 3 minutes and 3 pulls, or 3 minutes and 2 pulls. So basically the timer goes off and it's like, this is your first of 3 pulls, or this is your first of 2 pulls, and then you know that the time is like coming to close the clean, right? And then the reason you do the Trinity is because you go into all this nitty gritty, which is great. You're actualizing, which is fabulous, but you don't want to stay stuck in it, right? So then you bring in a Trinity, which is your brags and gratitudes and desires, which is like helping pull you out of the muck and elevate and celebrate yourself and come back into the now more in a place of pleasure and joy. So that is what I got on spring cleanings. Now I'm going to go ahead and lead you into a demonstration with myself as the one doing the clean. And this will also show you how to do it by yourself. You can take notes and copy the script if you'd like as you take notes, and then spring clean by yourself. Or you can come back and revisit this video as many times as you need and just fast forward to the part where I hold space for you to spring clean. And part of the reason there's the holding space also is like humans are wired for like connection and community, and in connection and community, like think about like when people used to get exiled, like that was really really hard on a lot of people. It was like heartbreak, right, to get exiled from the community. So when you spring clean and you're being witnessed in your desires, witnessed in all of your pain, it's like it's creating like that human connection. And some people might be very hermit like, or they might be in the midst of like huge spiritual awakening where like everybody's falling out of their life and they don't really have anywhere to turn that's safe. And that's the whole point of this channel, is to create spring cleaning containers that offer safety for those that are willing to do this kind of work but just don't quite have the people to hold space for them at this time, or they don't feel comfortable holding space for themselves yet. It's just creating that community and container for you, with the universe watching you and with myself holding space for you. All right, so I'm gonna get my timer. All right. Oh, and sometimes when you're spring cleaning, it might activate some really old emotions, and that's okay. If that happens, it's just the emotion actualizing and expressing itself and moving through you. If you find that you're still very emotional after the clean, it's a really good idea to go into doing a swamp with yourself, which is about 10 minutes of dancing. It's a dance embodiment practice. I will link a video at the end so you could click on it and watch how to swamp if you feel like you just need a little extra support moving things out of your body. Because spring cleaning is mental emotional for the most part, and then swamping is much more like the emotional and physical, which we are multidimensional beings. So it's good to have like a comprehensive approach. All right, so I'm going to begin. Sister Goddess Poppy, are you ready to begin your spring clean on, let's see, on the inner masculine or your inner masculine? It's also how you word it, on your inner masculine. Okay. Are you ready to begin your spring clean on your inner masculine? For for 3 minutes and 3 pulls. Yes, thank you. Starting the timer. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have a lot of rage and frustration that paralyzes me. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I feel like I have so much shit to do and not enough time to do it. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? It's really hard for me to encourage others when I feel so discouraged because so many people just kind of treat my visions and goals like they're cute little hobbies. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I hate that I tend to deflate and jab at my husband, who is a reflection of my inner masculine, because that's showing me that I'm jabbing at myself, and in that way I'm hurting myself and my husband at the same time. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I hate when my toxic masculinity and my husband's toxic masculinity get locked up in one another, and then we have like these huge disagreements that take forever to shift out of. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I hate how prideful I can be and how attached to outcomes I get. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I get attached to outcomes. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I'm so focused on like projects and goals and just like being seen as enough by like my parents in the past, and I don't even know who I'm trying to impress now, that it just takes me out of being present. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have like a huge sense of like powerlessness in my solar plexus. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Nobody really taught me about how to feel and then to feel safe as I feel. So I've tended to become self-righteous rather than dropping into my throne of power and just processing healthily. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have self-righteousness and self-hatred. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? I have self-judgment and judgment of others. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Being raised in the Catholic Church, like I have had to do a lot of work around like not being judgmental of myself and others. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine used to work long 12-hour days back to back and just pine for the sunshine in the mountains. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine is tired of being a couch potato and not exercising. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine hates that for the longest time I put so much crap food and booze into my body. Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine is ashamed that they have treated my pussy poorly. Thank you. This is your first of 3 pulls. What do you have on your inner masculine? And breaking that up a little more. My inner masculine is ashamed that back in the day when I would masturbate or self-pleasure, that I would just try to get an orgasm out just like how a guy just tries to beat one off. Thank you. This is your second of 3 pulls. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine has like entitlement and impatience and expects my pussy to like always want to orgasm when we self-pleasure, and it's been a process just experiencing pleasure without focusing on like an orgasmic outcome. Thank you. See that activated like a wave of grief, right? Acknowledgement is powerful. Thank you. This is your third and final pull. What do you have on your inner masculine? My inner masculine tends to copy the young teenage boys that bullied me in middle school and tends to either bully myself or project that pain outward and bully my husband. Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on your inner masculine. It has been an honor and a pleasure holding space for you. Would you like to close with a trinity? Yes, I would. I brag that I have spent about a week spring cleaning and swamping on my inner masculine pretty much every day. And I brag that today I took time in the middle of content creation to just allow my inner masculine to lay outside naked and sunbathe with nothing to do. And I brag that I came inside and took a shower instead of just jumping back into content creation. And I brag that I've taken the last 3 months to really just strengthen my feminine energies so that my inner masculine could really rest and regenerate and recharge. And I'm grateful for all the time off that I've had from work. I'm grateful for the universe providing so much financial support for my husband and I to adjust to this new timeline and what it is to take aligned action from a place of abundance. I am grateful to see how I'm showing up in my content creation. And I desire to get to a healthy space of balance with my inner masculine and inner feminine. I desire to have less like push and pull and just to have more harmony within my inner polarities. I desire that more of my inner archetypal energies just get on the same page as my soul and start having conversations with me that align with like the beauty, wisdom, and integrity of my soul instead of like deflating me or bringing me down. And I desire to lead by example and just leading by example in a way that is authentic and true to my soul and its highest expression of love that it is. Love bags, beautiful gratitude, and so it shall be, or something even better and wetter than your wildest dreams. So that was my spring clean on the inner masculine. As you can tell, it kind of just went all over the place, and that's what happens with spring clean. And now I am going to start your spring clean. So we are going to do 3 minutes and 3 pulls on the inner masculine. All right. Sister Goddess, are you ready to begin your spring clean on your inner masculine for a total of 3 minutes and 3 pulls? I'm going to hear you say yes. Thank you. Starting timer. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. This is your first of three pulls. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. This is your second pull. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. This is your third and final pull. What do you have on your inner masculine? Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on your inner masculine. It has been an honor and a pleasure to hold space for you. Would you like to close with a trinity? I'm going to hear you say yes. What do you rad? What do you celebrate? Oh, rad. That's so great. And what is your gratitude? What are you grateful for? Beautiful gratitude. And what do you desire? Remember, you desire things big, small, details, or maybe you're working out the details. Go ahead and just speak your desire out loud. So it shall be even better and wetter than your wildest dreams. Which we say in better and wetter than your wildest dreams because like that way we don't totally attach to the outcome. And then in co-creation, um, Great Pussy in the Sky can deliver something that's probably even better than we're imagining. So yeah. And these are like little pussy sparkles of light. Because yeah, pussy's where birth comes from and like when we're birthing desires, right? Let's add like those little sparkles of light from the Divine Mother, the Creatrix, Great Pussy in the Sky into the mix and just make our life more magical. Um, so yeah, that was your spring clean on your inner masculine. Congratulations on going into this part of yourself. And as women or people that identify as women, it's so important to clean on your inner masculine so you can more fully embrace your feminine energies and so you can more fully harmonize the polarities within yourself and really live your best life and be in pleasure and be in turn on and feel safe in your sexuality and sensuality. And so spring cleaning on the inner masculine I highly recommend because it makes space for that feminine energy and it just like discharges and diffuses any animosity that there is towards outer masculines. Um, Usually everything starts in here. So if you like diffuse what's going on inside of you and reduce the charge, then you're gonna find your external reality shift. Anywho, that is what I got for you today. I hope that this was helpful. If you're enjoying spring cleaning, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that way you get updates whenever I do post more spring cleans. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to spring clean on, and I can make a video or a list of spring cleaning topics and do another series. I did one series of 7 last year, and I'm doing a series of 7 this year. And then I'm sure I'll probably do another series of 7 because spring cleaning is just great. And I'm all for supporting my sister goddesses, like and cleaning their gunk out so that way they can receive what they deserve and what they desire. All right, be well, have a great morning, evening, wherever you are.